So I'm going to start doing something where I review the main ideas or the most outstanding ideas that I encountered this past week because I'm always learning and growing, and I'll put it into something like a podcast. So basically, I'm going to call it Ideas I Encountered This Week and Some That Blew My Mind, and it's going to be a chronicle. So this is the week of October 12th to the 17th in 2020, and the first one is this cryptocurrency I came across. It's called the Pi Network. It's a social chain, and social chain is a combination in my mind of social media and blockchain technology, which I think are two separately, they're transformative. So social media is a socially transformative technology, and blockchain technology is a transformative technology. And you put those together, you have, I want to say, a marriage, but I kind of hesitate from saying that simultaneously because marriages get divorced. But I digress. Um, but you have two entities that are powerful on their own that can be, multiples more powerful together. So, I guess that's what it would be nice if a marriage was, but a lot of times it's not like that, unfortunately, currently. So, again, I'm digressing. I guess I have marriage on the brain. I don't know. Do you have marriage on the brain? But yeah, we'll talk about that another time. So, this crypto asset solves the issue of mass adoption for cryptocurrency. And just so you know, if you want to start with the Pi Network, I would recommend you actually do it right now. If you're listening to this and you don't have it, you're not familiar with it, you're just hearing about this idea for the first time, go to the App Store for whatever phone you have, download the Pi Network social app. You're going to need to validate your identity with either like Facebook or a phone number, and you'll select a screen name, and then you can use my user code, which is Converge20, to sign up and get started. So yeah, I hope to see you there, but I feel like this stands the chance to change a lot of things with regard to how our financial system operates on a global scale. And you don't need any money to get started. It doesn't cost you anything. It's really easy to set up, and the creators of this application took that into consideration when they started this. So it's been a year and a half since this app has been out, and it already has 8 million users, which is incredible growth. So I highly encourage anyone listening to this to pause this thing right now, go download that app, and go from there. It doesn't have any monetary value at the moment, but that is highly likely to change in the future. And so, getting in super early is the best, is in definitely your best interest. So it was so compelling that I made a video and published it on my YouTube channel 3 hours after learning about it, because I figured I'd be telling a lot of people about it, and I didn't want to have to make the phone calls to like tell everybody right away or whatever. So I made a video, sent out a link to like a lot of my contacts. I don't know, I should probably send it out to all my contacts. No, because I have like people at work in my contacts, and I don't know that I want to send it out to all of them, but I probably should actually just send it out to all my contacts. But then they're going to look at me like, this guy's so weird. He's already weird, and now he's sending me this video, and these are the other videos he's making. This is what he's doing when he's home. And yeah, judgment. So, and my cat just attacked my bed. Crazy cat. Anyway. So I sent the video to all the people that I care about mostly, and who are non-judgmental for me. and that I can openly communicate with, because some people I have, I guess, a sort of relationship where the communication is not super open, you know? So it's unfortunate, but like these days we have this persona that we need to maintain sometimes. And so, yeah, I'm not able to freely communicate with all the people, that I come in contact with at the moment for one social reason or another, unfortunately. Maybe they're limits that I place on myself, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. Anyway, I would send it to everyone that I have access to if I felt it was socially safe to do so, and I don't think that it's socially safe to do so at the moment. So this is urgent. Download the app now, start mining the crypto asset, pause the video, and come back after you've installed the app. Again, my username is Converge20. Use that as the person that invited you. All right, so that was the first thing. The second thing that I came across, and this is huge. So yes, the Pi social network or social chain blew my mind, okay? Completely blew my mind. So I've been like going on it now for 3 days, and it's like still crazy. Like everybody that I come in contact with that, I've wanted to give something to, but I haven't had something to give to them, this is what I'm giving to them, right? Like, you need to download it right now. Just get started. Boom. Like, it's how you learn about social media. It solves the issue of mass adoption. It is massive, okay? Massive. The second one I came across is this thing called Sailor.org. Sailor.org. It's a free university. It's a free university. Yeah, exactly. Sailor.org. It's a free university. You can go online and get a university degree completely free. You can start taking classes, earn credit towards your degree completely free. Is your mind blown? You have to look at it more, right? But yes, I just said that. You can go online and get a degree in whatever you want, like straight up official. My mind was completely blown. Right? Doesn't sound like reality, right? Well, it's a thing, Sailor.org. So this seems to be a free university for anyone that is interested. I need to learn more about it, but after paying almost $100,000 for my education, I realize how insane it is to offer access to a free education for college. And that's what this is. Yeah, so all the kids, they can look into that. I mean, we can look into it for them, yes, but like, you don't have to go into debt to get a college degree. That's like an option right now. You see the power that learning can do? What is that? 100 multiplied by 4 so far? That's $500,000 you can save.
Where did you learn that?
The stuff I'm learning, I'm telling you, I listen to boring stuff. I listen to seemingly boring stuff, with these things I'm listening to, but that's the kind of stuff you can possibly come across. What kind of like crazy gold nugget is that? Sailor.org, a free university. So I need to call my nephew actually in New York and let him know about it. Yeah, so nephews in New York and nephews everywhere. Yeah, and maybe even people that are out of this country can do that instead of like paying an arm and a leg for a degree. Whew. Yeah. Anyway, you talk about wanting a degree, you can get that. So Sailor.org, okay? It's a free online university. Blew my mind. That was the second one. The third one that I learned about is Bitcoin versus real estate. So a lot of times people, have the idea that, okay, well, you have Bitcoin and you have the option to invest in Bitcoin and you have the option to invest in real estate. And which one to go ahead and choose? Well, the thing is, Bitcoin, well, if you invest in real estate, there's a tax that you need to pay in order to keep the real estate on an annual basis. And there's a chance that your real estate goes up in value as well, right? But over the course of time, if you don't pay the taxes, or even if you are paying the taxes eat away at the value increase in your real estate, okay? So there's that. But if you buy Bitcoin, you don't have to pay any taxes as you hold it. And so whatever appreciation there is in that asset is completely can go completely, all into that asset, that stays in that asset, where you don't have to pay a government in order to keep access to that asset. See how that works? You know what I'm saying? Because if I bought a house right now, I would have to pay interest on it. I would have to pay taxes on that property every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I buy Bitcoin, I'm not paying taxes on the Bitcoin that I bought, but they're
Right.
both increasing in value. So it's actually better to buy Bitcoin because you don't have to pay for the upkeep of it like you would pay for the upkeep of real estate. So Bitcoin is a superior investment in that sense. Does that make sense? You can't live in it, but that's a different situation. So yeah, you pay an annual tax for property, and there's no such tax on Bitcoin. So over a certain period of time, you can lose the property because of the taxes, or lose value in the property because of the taxes. Whereas with Bitcoin, you're more likely to gain value. So that's an idea that blew my mind. And this one, Bitcoin versus gold. So, um, you know, someone can knock you in the head and take your gold. Uh, you could have your gold stored in a certain country. The country can actually fall apart. So they have like a war or something in the country, and you can lose your gold that way. The government can come and confiscate your gold. So, like with gold, there is actually a lot of this thing called counterparty risk. So you think it's a safe investment, but it can be taken from you, and then you don't have access to it. Okay, especially if you have large sums. Like, how are you going to transfer it? Okay, so Bitcoin versus gold. Bitcoin's a superior investment because you have it. You own the keys for it, and if you want to transfer it, it transferred. It's lighter than a feather, and it's faster than light. It's as fast as light. Huh? Like, Bitcoin changes the game as far as like what an asset is, right? This guy was describing it as the saving and loans at the end of the universe. Like, it's not going to deteriorate, it's not going to disappear, and nothing's going to eat it, and it has no counterparty risk. Like, that is insane as far as an asset is concerned. It's like the perfect asset.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the hardest asset that you can get, and hard is a definition of how stable an asset is. This is the most stable asset that humanity has ever had access to, Bitcoin. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, so that's something that blew my mind. Um, and so, how to realize the value of assets. So, when you have an asset, and I have messed up with this, like, I've learned this lesson, and I'm telling you, I'm not doing it again. Not doing it again. Okay? I had, like, okay, so I had 40 shares of Tesla stock, and, you know, I'm looking at my financial situation, looking at what's going on a global scale, and I decide that, well, somebody needed to borrow some money, so I lent them the money. I sold some Tesla shares, half of what I had, sold 20, and lent them the money. But then when it came back to me, in pretty short order. I didn't put it back in the Tesla stock. So number one, if you have an asset, don't lend it out. It sounds weird, but don't lend it out. Like, if you don't have it liquid to lend out, don't lend it out. Okay. Um, yeah. So I guess, I mean, it's weird because, like, this person, I wanted to help them, and I did help them, but I shot myself in the foot. And I guess I could have just had like like you know at some points over the years that passed, I was in a position where I could have invested way more easily than I can right now. Like, you don't know what kind of situations you're going to come across. You don't know where you're going to be financially for one reason or another. And I've been making some relatively silly financial decisions. I haven't been as diligent about my finances as I was in times past. So I wasn't in the same position to put the money in, and I put it in different areas as well because of what I was learning. So there's like a mixed bag of information right there. But at the end of the day, I moved it out of one asset into a liquid form, and then when it came back to me liquid, I put it out into different assets, not the one that it came from. Now, I was in the Tesla stock when it was at about, I don't know, 200, 300, $400. This thing in short order popped up to $20,000. And this is after I got out of almost everything, because I could say because of this, because of that, because I could blame it on reasons. At the end of the day, it's just dumb. If you have an asset, stay in the daggone asset if you believe in it, okay? And I believe in, and I still believe in the Tesla company and where they're headed. But, you know, at one point, my goal was to have 100 shares of Tesla. It didn't seem like such a, it seemed completely doable. I was well on my way to doing it. I had 40, and then certain things started happening that threw me off course, completely threw me off course, completely derailed me. So I stopped at 40. The most I had at one point was 44. Stopped at 40, stopped at 44, and then it started going down from there. And I sold everything except one share at $500. Like I said, the stock went up to $20,000, no, $2,000, like, I don't know, 2 months after I sold. Like, shot myself in the foot. So basically the idea is, if you have an asset, do not sell the asset. You can realize value from the asset without selling the asset itself, okay? And so whatever, you can take your stock statement to the bank. They'll give you 50%, they'll give you an over collateralized loan with the asset that you have on hand there. So if you have $100,000 and you need $50,000, they'll give you $50,000 with the stock as collateral. You don't have to sell the asset in order to realize value from the asset. And I'm doing that right now with Bitcoin. Like, I have a company that I can take over collateralized loans from, but I don't have to sell my Bitcoin in order to realize that value. That's the way that you unlock value from your assets. You do not sell the asset. So if you have an asset, your plan should be to hold it for the rest of your life. That should be the plan. You should never try to get rid of your asset. So all this time I'm saying I'm going to have this thing, I'm going to sell it. No, that's the wrong idea. You have it, and you can realize value from it in its asset state, because the whole point is that it's going to appreciate. If you have assets, they're appreciating in value, you can use them as collateral for whatever, money you need to like access, and you never have to realize that you never have to like sell them to realize the value. You just realize the value from them through like, a third party. So that's something that blew my mind. And yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so I've had assets before, but like how you realize value from them is really significant. And this is one that's like really crazy. So the next one, idea 6, the ideal holding time for an asset is forever. If you have an asset, plan on holding it forever. Don't plan on selling it. You never want to sell. You want to be in the position where you can hold it forever. This completely reprograms my mind on how to deal with assets, and it's going to affect, how I approach them going forward. So so there's that. So people to watch: Jack Dorsey, the creator of Twitter and the Square company, like, very important individual to watch in society at this point. And also Michael Saylor, the ideas that he promotes and he's promoting is like completely changing my mind. He's the one that's funding Saylor.org, which is the free online university. He says that he has no kids, and this is basically his gift to the world. He owns a company. He just bought like $500 million worth of Bitcoin. This guy's got money, okay? And he's the one that's funding Sailor.org because he feels like education is the number one priority on a global scale. So, yeah, so that's where you get Sailor.org. So, wars have a way of opening people's minds to new ideas, he says. Like, and people do not accept new ideas until they die or unless there's a war. Those are the conditions under which people accept new ideas. Like, you have ideas, you want to hold on to them, you cling to them fiercely, okay? Same thing with me. But if a war comes along, then your mind opens up to like new ideas. That's how people change. You either die or there's a war. So think about that. Like, are those the conditions that you need to happen in order for your mind to be able to accept new ideas? Or do you want to be open to new ideas just as it is? So anyway, that's 7. The 8th idea is, over the course of 100 years, if you hold gold, you are likely to lose all of your value. Why? Because people take it. Why? Because governments fail or they're taken over. Why? Because institutions fail. And also because it is a commodity. So suppose you have gold. Gold right now is at $2,000. If the price of gold goes up to, $10,000 or $20,000, people would rush into that commodity and they would mine the living daylights out of it. And so, it's kind of like oil. Oil is a commodity, and, we fought wars over oil, right? But, the price of oil went up to $100 a barrel. All of a sudden, there was an incentive for people to start making that commodity in larger quantities. And so the, U.S., who like hardly produced any oil, maybe like 5,000 gallons a day, invested in technology to start hydraulic fracturing as a method of extracting oil. And you saw the oil amount that's exported by the U.S. start ticking up from 5,000 to 6,000 to 7,000 to 8,000 gallons, barrels per day or whatever. And it eventually crashed the oil market because if the price goes high enough, humans will come up with ways to find more of that thing. They're already talking about mining gold asteroids, okay? Going to outer space and mining gold asteroids. And you bet your bottom dollar that, like, if the price goes high enough, they will send rockets into outer space to mine those things and bring them back to Earth for gold. Okay? So commodities are not where you want to be. Okay? Commodities are not where you want to be. That's why you want to be in Bitcoin, in cryptocurrency. Okay, and number 9, it's easy to build something. The hard part is taking care of that thing after you've built it. You can build a house, okay? But the hard part is taking care of that house. The hard part is, seeing how that house can actually make money for you, be a contributing factor. So that's huge. Like, yeah, don't just focus on building of a thing. How are you going to take care of that thing going forward after you've built it? That's what's really important. So all these buildings that you see around, the ones that are well maintained, like, look at them. What are they? They tend to be churches or government buildings because they have a source of money coming in and they have a way of maintaining it. Okay, if you see a lot of houses, it can be the most immaculate house. If you don't take care of that house, it falls apart. Okay, have to find a way to take care of it. And so if you're building anything, that's what you need to plan into, its existence, its care, it's the way that it's going to pay for itself. So those are the 9 ideas that I came across this week. It's not always going to be 9. The number might change. But those are, 9 ideas that I came across this week that either blew my mind, I thought were like extremely noteworthy, and this was a particularly mind-blowing week. So that's what I wanted to do. Oh yeah, and there's this movie that we're watching. It's a documentary. I guess that's number 10. I feel like it's we have kids in the house, and I feel like it is mandatory viewing, not just for them but for us too, because it has such impact about our lives going forward. It's called The Social Dilemma, and it's dealing with the impact, influence, and role of social media on our lives. So that's number 10. So it's called The Social Dilemma. I highly encourage you to watch it. I'm watching it on Netflix. And yeah, it puts into perspective
Yep.
what technology is doing to us and with us as humanity presently, and that we've almost, lost control of it. The creators of these things have lost control of what they've created by and large. So yeah, watch it. Hope you learned something from it. Hope you got something out of this podcast. And until next time, keep on rethinking.